Folks, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. Thank you for joining me today. We are at the Dusk Watch Plateau, where we're going to be seeing a battle between the High Elves and Norska. This one was sent to me by Blitzen, and he is playing up against Rescued. And so, High Elves versus Norska is an interesting match. I feel like I've played this match a few times. I've won it as the High Elves. I've lost it as the High Elves. I've won it as Norska, probably more than I've lost it. I mean, but at the same time, I feel like these two factions are a fun matchup. They both have some things that the other doesn't like. And this is an interesting one to me. I'm going to slow it down for just a minute because I want you all to catch all the units before we get started in this one. For the High Elves, I believe there's 3 units of Spearmen, 1 on each flank, 1 in the back. There are 3 units of Rangers up front. Now, Rangers are going to be a lot better answer to stuff like Marauders. They'll still get absolutely annihilated by something like a Berserker. But they'll do more damage, maybe, to the Berserker than the Spearmen. Spearmen are obviously going to get annihilated by that unit as well. We're going to see a Metal Mage back here with just Plague of Rust for, just taking armor off of a unit, which can be a handy combination with just standard archers like this. So I do like the combination of Plague of Rust with standard archers. It makes them considerably more effective in any given situation if it's used properly. We got a Star Dragon, which is a High Elf super weapon, obviously, and it costs a considerable amount of funds. And when you invest in something like this super weapon, you have to use it well, or else you'll most likely cause yourself to lose the fight. We're going to see a couple of Silver Helms here, Techless on a steed, not the bird, so this is classic Techless here. And we're going to see him riding around on the Elven steed. He's got Fiery Convocation, and let's take a look at his other spells here. Sword of Techless, which is going to improve his power reserves. He's got the Potion of Cheroi, Regrowth, Enfeebling Foe, and Flaming Sword. So he's got a lot of magic because there's a net there too. So a considerable amount of funds spent on bringing a lot of different magic options. Though, honestly, the magic options that were brought are going to be pretty potentially helpful against Norska, because Norska does field units like this, for instance, the Skin Wolves, who are weak to fire damage. And so the Flaming Sword of Ruin could be good here. In the fight against the Armored Skin Wolves. There was 3 of them over there. The mainline infantry is Marauders. They are supported by the Mist Stalkers. But remember, this unit is hidden and will be until it gets close enough to the High Elves. So the High Elves won't know that that's about to hit them. Then we got Big Boy Famir here with the Shadow Lore, rocking a Pendulum. Pendulum is an excellent spell against the High Elves. We're going to see a near miss here with Sea Fang. Nice dodge by the Elves. But I think the combination of Sea Fang and Pendulum can typically put an end to High Elf archers if timed and used properly. And these Famir warriors are going to obviously completely overpower the Rangers. The Rangers don't get a counter charge here, and that's going to hurt them. They definitely need that charge. So the Marauders are going to get the charge. A nice Pendulum rips up some of the archers, and you can see Wulfric on his chariot here supporting. And then there are 2 Marauder Horsemasters and 1 Marauder Horseman with javelins, all in the background. I like those picks as well. They can be used to harass super weapons like these. And in fact, I believe that's what they should be doing right now. They should be over here, and they should be putting some harassment on that Star Dragon, in my opinion. We'll see. What they're doing right now is just kind of firing at the Rangers and helping to clear out the Rangers. The Archer crew is working on the Mist Walkers, and I haven't seen yet a Plague of Rust on them, but we did out here just get a net on the Skin Wolves and a Flaming Sword of Ruin on the Silver Helms. And as you can see, it's costing the Skin Wolves big time. Now, that is a big spend of magic for an overcast net and the Flaming Sword of Ruin, though, so Techless will temporarily be probably low on the Winds of Magic. And at that same time, here comes the Beast of Tashnar, which was hidden, and an excellent rear attack here to take out more archers. And so Norska off to a decent start, I think, all things considered. You still got the Mist Stalkers, which can be used against the Dragon. And these units here, the Marauder Horsemasters and stuff, will want to get the heck away from the Illyrian Reaver Archers. These were another surprise that the High Elf player kept. And you can see the Reaver Archers are wanting to just charge in and take the engagement against the Marauder Horsemen. I don't know how that would go, honestly, against the Horse Masters, but the Reaver Archers aren't terrible in melee, so, I mean, this is not a bad idea, really. They have a decent charge bonus, in fact, too. You can see here that a couple of the horse units for Norska are going to pay for it. We do have some infantry sitting idle that's going to need to go ahead and keep charging up the hill. The Mist Stalkers are up here, along with Wulfric, cutting their way through some High Elf infantry. The Beast of Tashnar are on an absolute tear right now. I don't know why they laid off of Teclis, though, to be honest. I guess they wanted to get rid of the Metal Mage, but with the dragon at least temporarily busy, these Beast of Tashnor, they were taking a chunk out of Teclis. They may have been concerned about proximity to the other units here, though, and decided to just chase that off. We're going to see Wulfric take a shot at Teclis, but this is risky with that dragon so nearby. But, I mean, you can see anytime Wulfric gets a hit, Teclis is going to get punished. And the net comes in, but doesn't actually stop Wulfric. I've seen this happen before, so this sucks for Teclis. Very timely net, but CA, please. Maybe we'll get that fixed at some point. There was another Pendulum we just missed out here, which did kill quite a few Silverhelms, so that's a nice play by Famir Balefiend there. We're going to get a regrowth on the Star Dragon, and that is just going to be absolutely bruising for the morale of Norska at this point, because the dragon's going to get all of its vigor back, and it's going to pick up a ton of hit points. The Famir warriors did come over to assist, and definitely not a fight the dragon wants to stay in at this point, and so it pulls out, keeps itself alive and kicking. Norska is clearing out most of the rest of the High Elf chaff here. Some of the Norska horsemen survived the assault of the Reaver archers. I didn't catch what happened to the Reaver archers, but they were obviously dealt with. So I'm curious to see what would have happened. Or actually, no, they weren't. Here they are, way out here. They weren't dealt with. This could be interesting. These Reaver archers being alive late, that's going to be a real problem for Norska here. At some point, the dragon has to come down and fight. The Famir warriors are going to have to be quick to get on this dragon. The Beast of Tashnor would be extremely handy here too, just to pin the dragon on the ground when it does dive in. Because see here, it got Wulfric. He's terrified. He's probably not coming back unless Norska gets lucky, which they might. It looks like he's going to be pursued. But yeah, without the Beast of Tashnor over here, there was no way to pin that dragon on the ground. The Beast of Tashnor are way in the back, likely forgotten at this point. And plus, I think the Beast of Tashnor would also be very helpful potentially at trying to rid yourself of the last few High Elf mobility threats here. There goes Wulfric. He's being pushed off the battlefield in its entirety. Teclis, of course, can stay ahead of this. He's a quick unit. Nice charge here by the Silverhelms to keep this stuff busy, do some damage. Let Teclis get over there. Look at this. These Marauders had been chasing. They stopped the chase, and immediately the High Elf Spearmen came back from routing. That sucks when you're chasing a unit and that happens. And then same thing over here. Looks like they mostly chased this. Like, in fact, these guys may have... No, they were given a recall order here, but yeah, left this unit. And those are probably... They're not hidden. It doesn't say they're hidden, but I wouldn't be surprised if they should be, because they're behind that terrain. Anyway, gonna see the Silverhelms get routed. Obviously, Norska's going to try to make the most of the situation. They do have Famir to help with the leadership. The dragon did manage to kill Wulfric before he fled. That will put an extra leadership burden on Norska from the Lord Recently Died effect that you can see here. One Silverhelm has been completely shattered. The second one is being pursued to the edges of the map, and it's going to be pushed completely off the map. And here we go. So Norska is going to regroup for a final assault, and I mean, the High Elves get left with their super weapon here late in the game, and the dragon is in pretty good shape because of that regrowth. It's got a lot of hit points. Its vigor is in pretty good shape. Norska, on the other hand, will most likely be very tired, and they're very depleted. I definitely feel like Norska would want to get in these woods. It'll protect them from the Reaver archers to some extent, and it would protect them some from the dragon and slowing down its charges. Kind of surprised Norska didn't take that option, because these are pretty thick woods right here. It would definitely be a good spot to hide in. So there's no answer to the Reaver archers at this point. The Elves have both mobility and, honestly, just raw power. And I don't know what else the Balefiend can do at this point. I don't know if there are any spells left. Balefiend doesn't have near as much of a handle on the winds of magic as, say, like a Teclis does. Yeah, these charges are pointless. You're definitely not going to catch the Reaver archers. Like I said, I think the best thing to do when you get in this situation is just camp the woods, put some shielded units on, you know, the front in any particular direction, and just block those charges. Yeah, see this archer unit came back from routing as well. The Norska paying a heavy toll to the archer units, and then one of the worst things you can do when you get stuck with a super weapon like this late in the game is get split up. Don't ever let yourself get split up like this. We're going to see a fiery convocation from Teclis, followed up by, or obviously the net, followed up by the convocation to hold these guys in place, do some extra damage. The Star Dragon gets a free charge on them, while these guys can't really charge in and do much about it. And the High Elf super weapon is going to finish the battle cleanly. See one last pendulum here from Balefine, but not able to swing the pendulum of power back into their favor. And here comes the Beast of Tashnar coming in a last-ditch effort against the Illyrian Reaver archers, and it will be too little, too late. Norska is defeated. So, I wanted to show this battle for a few reasons. One, I think it's interesting to see, you know, obviously in Warhammer, one of the things is to bring those super weapons, right? The High Elves tied up a gargantuan amount of their funds into this Star Dragon. I love the idea of the two mages here. It's a little bit risky. If you pull it off right, it can be good, you know, because I think that the metal mage can be helpful in case they ended up in a situation where they needed to pierce a bunch of armor. In this case, they didn't, but you had Teclis there, and again, it was a lot of spin to get all that magic, but the magic ended up being pretty well used, in my opinion. The regrowth on the Star Dragon was very timely. The nets were very timely. The Flaming Sword of Ruin was used perfectly against the units that it was going to have the biggest effect on. So I feel like that this was a good call in terms of how that magic was used in this fight. And the High Elves pulled out a nice victory here. The Star Dragon just couldn't be dealt with. And I think I look at the pick of Norska, and I don't necessarily disagree with their pick. Don't waste a lot of money on anti-infantry infantry. Just bring some infantry. Keep your mobility because it'll tear apart the range of the High Elves and their own mobility, leaving them vulnerable to Wulfric just running them over, right? I think that's the mindset that Norska is going to go into with these fights a lot of times, which is don't go too all in worrying about killing High Elf infantry, which is honestly not a huge threat to you in these fights. It's, you know, typically the threat is somewhere else. And there was a lot of anti-large brought here. You had the Miststalkers, 3 Skin Wolves, the Beast of Tashnar, and then technically the Marauder Horsemasters and stuff can be anti-large to a degree, right? In the sense that those units can, you know, get a lot of javelins off into a large target. And I think that these units not harassing that Star Dragon early with their javelins, but instead firing at the Rangers, ended up being a big problem. A big problem. And then they got left kind of vulnerable to the Reaver Archers, which came in very handy here. And I'm assuming the Reaver Archers were brought to help deal with some of this mobility that Norska can field, and they did do a good job of it. And the other thing about Reaver Archers is that late in a game, their charge is a big deal. Like, it's painful. Like, so late in a game, if the Reaver Archers, for instance, run out of ammo, and you've got some beat-up units scattered all around the battlefield, Reaver Archers are dangerous. Their charge is not high, but it's enough to do some damage, and their armor, again, not high, but it's enough to make them kind of a pain in the butt for other units. So, again, not like a highly capable melee unit, but enough that it can be a bother. So you can see that the damage here caused by the Star Dragon paid for itself. So this is the example of bringing an expensive unit and getting your money's worth out of it. You can see on the other hand, Norska was getting a lot out of Wulfric, but he obviously got shut down by that Star Dragon before he could seal the deal. Nice damage by the Balefine too. And the Miststalkers, even though they killed a lot of stuff, they never got into a high value target, so you won't see them necessarily pay off. Whereas, look at this Beast of Tashnar, easily paid for itself in this battle. So a great pick there by Rescued. Anyway, appreciate the battle from these two. Again, wanted to show this one just to kind of have that little bit of discussion about, is it worth it to bring those super units? Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. It depends on how well your opponent is able to deal with all those funds that you invest into one place. One of the things I like about Warhammer, there seems to be a pretty good balance and trade-off in these things. And you'll see, and some people, of course, hate that. They're like, man, those single entities with all that power, it ruins the game. It just ruins it. I disagree. I don't think it ruins anything. I think it varies up the play styles that you have to bring, and you can't just go all in one direction. And although the High Elves did invest a tremendous amount of their gold into that Star Dragon, they also brought a pretty well-balanced core of infantry and some missile play in the form of the 2 Reaver Archers and the 2 Standard Archers. So it's not like they just came in with like 2 or 3 single entities and plowed their way through Norska. They used the single entity well to its advantage. The Star Dragon, like I said, though, can be a big liability, depending on what kind of situation they end up in. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Again, if you all want to support the channel, the best thing you can do after you watch any video is interact with it. If you like it, click the thumbs up. If you don't, click the thumbs down. Go down, leave me a comment. Tell me what was good. Tell me what you think of the battle. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what the video needs to do better. That is the best way to support the channel at any given time, is to interact with the video, because that plays a big role in the YouTube algorithm that we all love so much. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon with some more action in Total War.